Oh, hey, and welcome to another episode of Beetle Dustino, coming at you again today with yet another video and yet another Paul McCartney video. We're going to be on a few of these right now. I just saw him at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis on the Got Back tour. He's got, at the end of the week here, a new release coming out, a new compilation release. So let's talk about some Paul McCartney compilations after the intro. Wings, the self-titled Wings compilation, Paul McCartney and Wings compilation that's coming out on November 7th, just this coming Friday, as you're seeing this here, is about to come out. And I said when the news announcement came out for this, I said, a lot of people were complaining about it, and I my kind of take on it is Paul hasn't had a lot of compilations. He really hasn't. Even with Wings, we had Wings Greatest, and I've just got my CDs here. Was the first one that came out in the 70s. In the 80s, we had All the Best, would have been the next one here. Then in the early 2000s, we had Wingspan, which kind of is what Wings is supposed to be like. But this one kind of failed on that. And I even pulled out my not as fun one without the lenticular cover. And then kind of in the mid 2010s, we had Pure McCartney. And I've just got the 2 CD version here. I do got all the other versions, though. So we've only had really 4, and now coming up 5, Paul McCartney compilations ever. Paul McCartney and Wings, Paul McCartney. There hasn't been a lot. There are some that have got kind of not noticed, I guess, is the best way to put it, or kind of forgotten about because they were promo compilations. They weren't, the mainstream, releases like these ones were. And they weren't available to the general public, but they are MPL officially released compilations. And I did include in my, as you saw this last Saturday, my album cover art, the album art cover ranking. There we go. I had included a couple of these, and as you'll see when I get to that was for the 90s. As you'll see when I get to the 2000s, I've got a couple more included. Yeah, I kind of want to talk about these compilations. I think they're kind of interesting. So the first one that would have came out on these promo compilations is Paul McCartney Rocks. And unfortunately, I can't find a ton of information on this. So if anybody knows, please let me know in the comments here. That's what I love about this. I know that people that watch my video, I'm not the biggest expert. I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. And I love having this platform out here to, make a video like this and have my viewers kind of help me out here, kind of figure this out and help each other out too, because if you read the comments, you'll see kind of what people respond. But yeah, Paul McCartney Rocks is the first one I'm going to look at here with this. And kind of show you the disc there. These are very simply done. That's all there is on the back. There's no booklet or anything. It's just that front cover. And then there's the disc label there. Very, plain and simple. Pretty much the same image as everything on the disc label. And I'm going to hold this here so you can see the track listing really good on the back. Let you kind of peruse that, but I'll go through it with you here. So some of these do have some pretty interesting releases on them, though. So it starts out with a pretty unique one right there, which is the Figure of 8, the 7-inch version, which is the only time that's been available on CD. I think that's the only time it's been available outside of that 7-inch single. I don't think it was on any CD singles. I don't think it was on any vinyl albums of any sort. So that would be the only place that you'd get that mix of it, is right there, kicking the album off here. Next track is We Got Married. Then we got Rough Ride. So, of course, there's a lot with Flowers in the Dirt. And I think this was right around that tour at that time, the Paul McCartney World Tour and Flowers in the Dirt. Because this came out in 1990, so right after Flowers in the Dirt was released in 89. That tour was going on kind of 89 to 90. So, yeah, it would make sense. And I don't know, was this available at stadiums during the tour, or did they send this out to stadiums to kind of promote the tour? I don't know. I can't figure out how you would obtain this. And, yeah, I always love that, too. Yeah, promotional use only, not for sale. I do see that right down there. Kind of hold that up there. Hopefully it's focusing on that. I always love that with these promo items. It says that on them. Yeah, it says it on the disc there too, right below the red McCartney there. Yeah, but let's get on with the track list here. I always get myself distracted here. Squirrel. Oh. But anyways, so we got married. Rough Ride. Be the third track. Fourth track is Band on the Run. So we are going to some of the old Wings classics too on here. Then we got Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey on the fifth track. So going back to Ram album there. Live and Let Die, another Wings classic there. Party Party, which another one, like I said, kind of unique to this album. Party Party would be one of those two. I think otherwise that was only available on a B-side of some of the singles. I think it was available on CDs. I know, as a matter of fact, there is... I got it sitting right here, so why not? In this little set here. One of these days I'll do a little video on this. But yeah, there is the little mini single in there of Party Party, but it is available here too. Let's see. The next one is the next kind of unique one, another B-side, which is I Want to Cry. And then going back to some Wings stuff here, we got Junior's Farm as the 9th track. And then the 10th and final track here, we got Don't Get Around Much Anymore. So there we go. Pretty just plain and simple, kind of more up-tempo songs, so Paul McCartney Rocks. That would be that one, though. A pretty interesting little one. I think this cover almost looks like a bootleg. That image is so just... And I still can't figure out. I think it's so pixelated. That's why it looks so fake. But it is an actual photograph. I said in that on the album cover art ranking video, I said it almost looks like a painting or something. But it is a picture. It's just a very pixelated picture. But yeah, that would be Paul McCartney Rocks from 1990. And again, like I said, any of these, if you know where you obtain these or who obtained these or, whatever, let me know, because I'm really kind of curious. The next one up here is came out in 1993, so just a few years later. Again, kind of revolving around a tour and just post an album too, because Off the Ground was just out. And the New World Tour, obviously it's called the New World Sampler, so the New World Tour was happening at that time in 1993, but that is it. It's the New World Sampler. And this one's a really interesting one. Really cool picture of Paul there holding a copy of Off the Ground there in front of his face. And then the back, same image, it's just instead of Off the Ground, he's holding All the Best. So kind of, there we go. I think I might be recreating it. I'm not sure. But yeah, kind of doing All the Best there instead of Off the Ground. And there's a reason for that. And this, too, not only is it, an interesting little sampler, but it's an interesting little package. And if you know me watching my channel, I love packaging, real interesting packages. And I'll show you here. It's no thicker than this Paul McCartney Rocks, but this is a 2 CD set. And as you can see, too, there's no hinge, the gray thing where the hinge is at. Because there is no hinge there, not there. So I'll open it up here. This is a really interesting, I think it's something like a Z packaging or something they call it. Again, not much with the card here, the image on the front, and then the back has got all the track listing. I'll hold it there with that New World Sampler. Kind of hold it there for you to look at, and we'll go through the tracks here. And then there is the disc label, and I think I'll get it fixed there. There we go. Now it's upright. But that's the disc label. A little nicer on the label on this one. A little more thought went into it. And this is a 17-track one here. And this one doesn't really have anything super unique to it. But it is just a very unique compilation in the end here. So it kicks off with Hope and Deliverance, which is off the ground. So there's a lot of Off the Ground on here. But it isn't specifically Off the Ground by any means. Maybe I'm Amazed is up next from McCartney. It nicely says that with each one here too. As you can see, I'll kind of hold it there once again for you to look at. Then we got Get on the Right Thing off Red Rose Speedway, Off the Ground, obviously off the ground. Venus and Mars Rock Show Jet off of Wings Over America. So we do get a little live track on that. So that's kind of a unique one. Biker Like an Icon off the ground. Hell on Wheels off of Band on the Run. The U.S. Band on the Run. I'll be specific on that because some people in the UK and other parts of the world may go, that's not on Band on the Run. It's associated with Band on the Run, but it's not on it. Well, in the U.S., they tacked Hell on Wheels onto our Band on the Run album. So 20 Flight Rock off of Choba BCCP, the Russian album. So kind of a unique one there too. Because some of these albums we don't see them on a lot of compilations. So Off the Ground, even I think there was one or two on the Pure McCartney on the big set, but yeah, that's kind of interesting there. And then we've got I've Had Enough off of London Town, Looking for Changes off the Ground, so quite a bit off the ground. Smile Away off of Ram, that's an interesting one on a compilation. I got to say, I love that song when I get to it in Ram. I just love that song. Smile Away off of Ram, Magneto and Titanium Man off of Venus and Mars. Stranglehold off of Press to Play, another album that gets kind of left off of these, but that would have been fairly recent album at the time when this came out. 3 albums back. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I Owe It All to You off the Ground. Rockestra Theme off of Back to the Egg, so Back to the Egg got included here too. Come On People off the Ground, and then Golden Slumbers Carry That Weight, The End off of Tripping the Live Fantastic. So pretty interesting track list there, featuring some albums that don't get a lot of love, and live stuff too, which also doesn't get too much love sometimes. But that's not all the story on the New World Sampler, and I'm going to kind of do this with it so you kind of see what I'm talking about with the Z. I think they call it a Z pack or something. Literally kind of forms a Z. Could be an N too, though, I suppose, but when you open up the other way, we'll close up the New World Sampler section, and now we're going to go into All the Best. And I'm not going to go through everything on All the Best. That's not what we're here to focus about. We are talking about compilations, but it is just All the Best, and it is the U.S. version of All the Best, as you can see. It doesn't include Mulligan Tire, and there's a couple of tracks that are on there that aren't on the UK or rest of the world versions. Again, the U.S. had some unique ones there, so... But yeah, it is the U.S. version of All the Best. And again, I can't find any information on where this was available or the rhyme and reason for it. I love, though, it's got a spine on both sides that you can see the New World Sampler. And I think, yeah, as a matter of fact, here, I held it upside down. It does say All the Best on that side. And then this side, it says the New World Sampler. Really kind of cool. This is just the packaging. I've never seen another CD packaged like this. Let me know too on that. Is there another CD you're aware of that's packaged like this, like a double disc CD that's packaged like this? But really interesting one there. But like I said, not a lot of anything unique. Like Paul McCartney Rocks had those tracks that were pretty unique to CDs. Still a fun little sampler, a really interesting little sampler. So we're moving into the 2000s next. Both of these came out in 2005, as a matter of fact, and both of them kind of revolved around, the U.S. tour, or the US tour. I'm not sure how that is supposed to go on that. The first one, and this one I actually do know both of these, actually, I do know how you could obtain them and where you got them. And they're both kind of interesting. Now, this one I didn't include coming up. You won't see it in my album cover art rank video because it's too confusing on what we count as that. Plus, I think it is kind of more associated with a version of one of his albums than it is with a compilation, even though there's a compilation kind of tacked in there. But this is the front of the package, kind of the little O card you get on the front of the package, as Paul, the U.S. tour presented by Lexus. And I think this is a great image. I love this, but it's just basically, kind of pretty similar, I think, to what the posters and the advertisement was for the U.S. tour, US tour. I'll flip it to the back here, and this has got all the locations where you could see the tour there. And let's see, St. Paul, Minnesota. So kind of my local. If I would have went out for that tour, I probably would have seen them there. Unfortunately, I didn't have the money in 2005 to go out to Paul McCartney concerts. I barely got it in 2025, but this did include... So in here, there's 2 albums, kind of like the New World Sampler had 2. This includes a copy of Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. So once you slip it out of the case here, and the bottom does have all like your legal stuff on that and everything too, so it's really kind of interesting on that. But yeah, you could get this at Lexus dealerships is where you could pick this up. So I'd imagine you'd go to their parts counter. I work at a car dealership, so I kind of know the ins and outs on that. Plus I've always, been fascinated with, I'm a car guy too. So, and I've had a couple of interesting cars in my lifetime. And I used to have a Volkswagen, a really unique Volkswagen. So I knew, going to the parts counter and you could go get all the little memorabilia stuff from the ads and stuff and that. So I kind of know where that's all at. And I'd imagine that's where you pick this up. You'd go to the parts counter at the Lexus shop and it would be available there. But yeah, you got a copy of Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, just kind of the standard copy. Nothing special here. I'll just kind of show it to you quick. I mean, we all know what Chaos and Creation in the Backyard looks like, but we're here to talk about the unique compilation that came with it. And with this too, being that it was available at a Lexus dealership, you got kind of a car-themed compilation called Motor of Love. And, you know, the cover, kind of interesting. It does have that foil on there, which is unique. And there is some unique tracks on this one too. So kind of going with that unique track listing there. I'll kind of show you the back here. The cover is cooler than I think, but I don't know. I just feel like it's so out of it. It's definitely a promotional type cover. Is not, aside from the Hofner bass logo there and his signature in the silver, there's really not much going on there that really is associated with Paul. I'm kind of hoping when he show up to the shows on the US tour there that he was riding in a Lexus. And there you can see on the spine there, it does say Paul McCartney too. Then you open it up here and we got the microphone as your gear shifter there. Clearly a Lexus vehicle there that is in. That is not how the Lexuses came. There's the disc label, so kind of unique on that. I'll kind of show you under the tray here too, kind of the design pattern that's there. And let's take a look on the inside here too, because there is more to the booklet than just, like the other ones were just kind of white pieces of paper or the track listing behind it. This does actually have a little bit of a booklet. So we got the Hofner bass and the amp there, Lexus kind of done up with some, the Hofner bass on that too. Some information there. I'll kind of hold it still for a little bit if you want to pause and read it. And then down to the bottom, it shows quite a few of his albums there. So we got Flowers in the Dirt, Ram. Oh, well, it's a single. I think it's a single cover there, Driving Rain. Then we got London Town, Paul is Live, Off the Ground, Band on the Run, and Back in the US. All kind of showing there. And let's go through the track list on this. I'm going to find a better, that one won't be as easy to read. The track list on this, so we got 10 tracks again. Let's see, we start off with Motor of Love, which was on Flowers in the Dirt. Does it say that on here? Yeah, it does say that here too. So off Flowers in the Dirt, Motor of Love, probably a song I've never really liked. Even me being a car guy, I don't think it's really talking about cars. But that would be the first one. So a lot of these are kind of car related when I look at it. So the next one is the backseat of my car off of Ram. And then we got Rough Ride off of Flowers in the Dirt again. Lonely Road off of Driving Rain. Oh yeah, I suppose that everything that's in here would have been on those albums that was shown there. That makes sense now that I see that. Hell on Wheels off of, again, credited to Band on the Run, I'm sure. Yeah, it even specifically says this version from the 25th anniversary edition. So there we go. Backwards Traveler off of London Town. Biker Like an Icon off of Off the Ground. Driving Rain off of Driving Rain. Drive My Car Live. Now here's one of the first kind of unique ones here. This was from the Super Bowl performance that he did, which would be Super Bowl 39. So yeah, Jacksonville, Florida, 6th of February, 2005. So yeah, that's a very unique one because any of that Super Bowl performance has not been released anywhere else. That's the only place you can get any of that performance there is on the Motor of Love compilation here. And then the Long and Winding Road live, which was, I'm sorry, my glasses are, this version is from the Driving US tour. So yeah, this wouldn't have been on an album either. And it was recorded in Anaheim, California on the 5th of May of 2002. So there we go on that. Pretty unique setup there with those two tracks, as those have not been on any live albums or anything. So yeah, that in the booklet here, that would have been the tour poster from that. So that's what they were showing there. But yeah, he hasn't released a live album based off of that, or at least that song off of that tour. I think that would have been on Back in the US though, wouldn't it? The stuff from that tour, and I'm just kind of thinking off my head here. I think that would have been Back in the US, would have kind of covered that tour, that era of that tour, but that particular song was not on Back in the US. So
that is correct.
So unique to Motor of Love here too. The next one that I'm going to talk about, and this one I think is kind of the coolest packaged one of these. I think they really did a good job on this, but it's confusing to me because I thought when I first got learning about it, I'm like, oh cool, it's kind of a mini LP. Well, it is and it isn't, because let's show you a mini LP. Here's one real easy to grab. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. So we'll show you. It's sitting there, and yes, I do get the packaging on there, so that might help it be just slightly taller, but this is so much taller, I can't find a nice little sleeve to keep it in. Again, if you watch my channel, you know I like keeping my cardboard type CD releases in some sort of plastic sleeve. This one, I can't find one to fit it, so luckily I've got a sealed copy of it that I got in a lot with some other stuff, so I've just kept that one sealed. So this one will, whatever happens to it, happens to it. But this is Paul McCartney, Never Stop Doing What You Love, which also came out in 2005, also kind of to promote the US tour, or US tour. Like I said, I'm not sure how that's supposed to be pronounced. This was through Fidelity Investments, so Lexus must have been working with them, and Fidelity Investments were working with them. And this would have been available to the employees of Fidelity Investments, and I guess Paul did a little video and everything, kind of as they distributed this out to all the employees, plus clients of Fidelity Investments. So I suppose if you invested with Fidelity Investments, you might be lucky enough to get a Paul McCartney compilation, a pretty unique one here too. But yeah, this is in a kind of a mini LP, but much taller than a mini LP sleeve. I'll kind of hold it here for you to see the track listing. And like I said, we'll go through the track listing too in just a second, and all the information kind of on the back. And it is a gatefold, so we get to open it up here. And we got all the little Paul McCartney related instruments and stuff, and Paul there himself playing one of the, oh, it is the Hofner bass, I was going to say. So I think it's the same image off the front here. Now you get the full kind of image there. And then we got the disc on the inside here, and I'm not sure if it does come with the little sleeve. Mine did. I got this used, so I'm not sure if somebody just slipped it into the sleeve, but it does have my copy. I'm almost believing this would have came with it. So it does have the little sleeve, and then there's the label. And this one's probably the nicest label on these. That they did a whole little thing, kind of made it look like a record. It doesn't have the grooves in it like sometimes they do with these. It's just black, but almost like the label in the center there, and then the black supposed to be making it look like the record there. So, you know, real kind of cool little setup there with that. All red on the inside there. I know sometimes people like to see that. But yeah, it's way taller than a mini LP, and I just can't find anything to fit this right. I love the gatefold on this. I think that is a really great gatefold. Really, really cool there. Let's see. The front is really kind of cool too. You'll see how that kind of ranks out there when I do the album cover art ranking, which should be one of my next videos. But this one's got 15 tracks on it, and really nothing super unique to this, aside from one little kind of asterisk on it. And the track list on this was kind of picked out by Paul and one of the big execs from Fidelity Investments. Kind of the two of them kind of put this together. I don't think they sat in a room together and put it together. I think Paul picked some tracks and this other guy picked some tracks. And it's a pretty unique track list on this too. So it kicks off with Another Day. I suppose as those Fidelity Investments workers are getting ready for their day of work, that's a good one to kick off the day with. The same monotony every day. Heading into Fidelity Investments. And then Jet would be the next one to go in there, track 2. Let 'Em In would be the next one. With a Little Luck. Live and Let Die. Listen to What the Man Said. My Love. Take It Away. No More Lonely Nights. Silly Love Songs. Put It There. And track 12 is going to be kind of the unique one, and only unique to the US, as this was the first time this track was released in the US on an album. And I still, oh no, it was on Pure McCartney, I believe, wasn't it? But it's Once Upon a Long Ago. It would be the next one there. And then we got The World Tonight, Bluebird, and Calico Skies. I love that Flaming Pie got a little love on this one here. So yeah, really decent little track list, interesting little compilation on that. Yeah. I think that's about it on that. So not much more to say. I think they're just kind of fun little compilations. As I said, I'm kind of celebrating, getting excited for the Wings compilation coming out. I know a lot of people probably are more moaning about the Wings compilation coming out, but any new release is kind of cool. Believe it or not, I've been listening to the Wings compilation. I set up a playlist, seeing as we already know nothing on it's new, so you can go kind of set a playlist based off of, you know, the masterings and everything that are on there and what tracks are on there. And I've been listening to both the one CD because there is one unique track on that one, or at least one unique mix of a track on that one, and then the 2 CD version. And I got to say, it's a pretty decent compilation. It's got a nice little flow to it, a nice little sound. I'll probably do a little bit more deeper on a review when I actually got my stuff on hand there. And I surprisingly have got a little bit of everything out of this. I know everybody complaining about, you know, everything. I've got at least some version of, you know, the 3 LP, the 1 LP, the 1 CD, the 2 CD, the 1 Blu-ray. I've got at least a version of each of those coming here. So I'll have quite a few videos to kind of show you all the different variations on it and that. And yeah, I'm getting a little excited for it, but I know not everybody is. But so I guess technically he's got 4 other compilations out there. As I said, he's only had 4 compilations so far. This will only be the 5th. Well, there are 4 others floating out there, and they're kind of unique, a little harder to find, but not super hard to find. If you do a little work, you should be able to find these pretty easy on eBay or Discogs or anything. And I would suggest Discogs over anything, because any of these promotional things, the people selling on eBay think that, oh, it's a promotional thing and therefore it's really special. So, you know, we're going to charge through the nose for it. And then you go to Discogs and you can find it for half the price of what an eBay seller is. So I don't know why that happens on that, but Discogs, I think they're actual record fans and, you know, music lovers and stuff. I think a lot of them are just record shops selling their stuff. I think eBay, that is too, for some cases. But I think, you know, eBay gets to the point they think, you know, this has got to be a super collectible because it's a promotional thing and harder to find. Well, yeah, Discogs, they realize and I'm not saying Discogs doesn't always overcharge, but most of mine I think I've found on Discogs, so I would say stick with Discogs on that. But anyways, I'm going to get fully wrapping up. Before I do that, though, once again, I want to thank all my subscribers, and thanks to any new subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and do hit the notification bell so you know when I got new videos coming out. Also, please give the video a like if you liked it, and like I always say, if you stuck around to this point, you must like it, so please give it a like, and do leave a comment. I love having a discussion with everybody. Let me know your thoughts on these compilations. Were you aware of them? Do you have any of them in your collection? On Paul McCartney Rocks and the New World Sampler, if you knew how you obtain those, please let me know. I'd really like to know, because I can't find anything online on it. Never Stop Doing What You Love, and Motor Love in the U.S. World Tour, or U.S. Tour presented by Lexus. Those are pretty easy to figure out how you got those. Those other two, I have no idea how you got them. Oh, and also let me know if you know if there's any more CDs that you're aware of, albums that are in this unique 2 CD Z-Pack packaging, because I think this is really kind of cool, and I've never seen it anywhere else outside of the New World Sampler. So, yeah, so let me know your thoughts on all that, and I'm going to get fully signing out. I'm Beetle Dustino, signing out.